Hi everyone, this is Margaret Manning with 60 and Me. This is the place where women over 60 come to be inspired. My guest today is Claire Henry. Claire is the CEO of the National Council for Palliative Care in the UK. She started as a nurse and has been working in palliative hospice care all of her career. And she's here today to help us understand a little bit about how hospice and palliative care can help with this end-of-life situation that we all are facing. So, hi Claire, welcome.
Hello, thank you very much for inviting me.
It's wonderful to have you here. As you know, we've got a community of about 100,000 women over 60 looking after aging parents, thinking about their own situations. And I wanted to, we bring experts onto this show to talk about things that, that they're experts in and that I don't know as much about. And I'd love you to help us understand what you get with palliative care, hospice care, what it really is. Give us, a few things that it encompasses, that it looks after.
Okay. What it is, it really focuses around the person and those important to them, because that's not always family. It can be very close friends.
That's true.
And because we're a very diverse nation now, we don't all have our families local to us, even though they're very important to us. So I think what palliative care does is provide what's needed for that person and those important to them. So being very clear about, assessing what their needs are and linking. So they can obviously be linchpin of saying what's important. So how do you make sure that social care is in place? What does the family want to be, or the loved ones want to be involved in or not involved in? What can we expect? What's available within our local community? Because what people will often ask is saying, well, what's important to me? So it could be that actually I want to be cared for and die at home. The place might be really important. Or it could be, actually, I want to be surrounded by my loved ones and place isn't important. For me, what's important to me would be, making sure my pets, wherever I want to be, I'd want my pets there. And other people are exactly the same, or want their children around. So that, all sorts of different areas. So I think it's also looking at how we run palliative and hospice care alongside active treatment. So if we're looking at cancer treatments or others, it can run parallel. It's not either or, it runs together because it's focusing on that person, what their needs are, how we can actually make sure that people can live until they die. So symptom management, really practical things around mobility, also helping the loved ones to think, what can I expect? What do I need to do? I need support. How can I carry on with my everyday life? My interests, all of those sort of things. So it's looking at the whole unit rather than just one component.
Claire, I love how you've actually talked about quality of life as what's important to you. When you think about quality of life when you're young and active, it's all about, things, a house or stuff, things that you purchase that, improve your quality of life. But when you look at quality of life in a hospice or end of life situation, it's very much not emotional, but subjective. And
absolutely.
And like you say, you've got all these different people that are at different places in this conversation too. But tell us, what experience have you personally seen in hospices that have made you say to yourself as you walked out the door, that was a really great experience? What I saw there with that patient and their family or their loved ones. What's worked?
I would say there's lots of different, everything is so different and so individual. And I think the key thing for me is that it's actually individual. So even down to saying, if they are being cared for, say in the hospice itself or at home, having celebrations, having meals, all sorts of really things that we do in everyday life, because you don't stop being you if you're dying.
Right. That's so true.
And also thinking about that spirituality side. And I think, sort of finding out, what do I need to do? A lot of people say, actually, who do I need to sort of sort things out with? Have I had crosswords? Have I got a bucket list of things that I want to do? And I know when I was a nurse, we actually did arrange for someone to do a parachute jump because that's what they wanted to do. And other things as well about, sort of enabling people to really do some really practical things. I think the other is when you see some great symptom control. So somebody has been uncomfortable, they have been in pain, and they've got their pain completely under control. they're not drowsy. They walk out the hospice because then they can get on with life because they've got the medication that's under control. They've got medication that keeps their pain under control, but they know where to go when they have got a problem. So there's lots of really practical things, and also access to various benefits or things that make life a bit easier. I mean, over in the UK, we've got schemes like, Blue Badge, so people can park close to, say, shopping centres, so they're not walking across the car park. Really practical issues, but also knowing who to talk to, because it can be really stressful for the family watching, what can I expect? What do I need to do? So I think what I see great work with palliative and hospice care is looking at that person thinking, how can we do things rather than how we can't, how can we problem solve? So what's important to that person? And we know people change their minds. So, we all change our minds. Yeah. If we're well, we change our minds. So what's important to that person? So they might say, well, I wanted to do so and wanted to go somewhere today, but actually I don't want to do that today. Or I don't want to be cared for at home. I want to be cared for in a hospice, or, all sorts of different things that we need to be thinking about. And I think the key thing is for what I would say that hospices do very well, but also palliative care in a broader sense, is give for information, because when I've worked with people, what they say to us, they want honesty. What can we expect? Yes. What can't we expect? And what do we need to do together? And I think palliative care really focuses around that and sort of saying, okay, what's important, rather than trying to fit people in neat boxes. Because I don't know about your, your membership, but none of us, I hate to fit in a box. I'm not good in a box, and I'm sure a lot of other people aren't.
Well, we are a very individual group, and especially as you get to be over 60, I think you start really knowing yourself pretty well, and you don't sort of depend on the opinion of others as much anymore. So, but I think I love what you said. I mean, first of all, that it's individual, that you look at the things that people want individually, and you just listen and talk to them about what would make them feel better. That it's practical, that it gives the families and friends something that they can do that's really specific. I love that you mentioned spirituality, because obviously when you're coming to the end of your life, you start thinking about where you fit in that picture, and so I think those are really, really great ideas. I was actually this, I actually worked in bereavement counseling in my past life, and I remember going to a couple of hospices when I was working on a book, and it was so wonderful that it was like there were little worlds, that there were the group of people playing cards and the group of people that were doing something else, and it's like you finally get to be yourself, and as long as people are listening to you and trying their best, like you say, not to say we can't do that, but let's do our best to make it happen for you.
And be honest, if there are things you can't do, what could we do instead? And I think it's amazing. The other thing I've seen is people have suddenly discovered talents they didn't know they had, or they can express themselves through sort of art and other sort of different ways. So I think it is amazing what people do, and also what they want to do. So if they want to leave, sort of messages maybe for their grandchildren, it's all those creative ways about doing things which people may want to do.
I didn't have this written down, but I just thought about social media. That's great. You can, you do videos, or you can leave a message for someone. There's a man I saw on YouTube, I think, who was a gentleman who played the piano, and he really wanted to play the piano a few more times, and so he put it on, or his granddaughter put it on social media, and all these musicians showed up. They had in the town, and they just did a little jam, and he was playing jazz. It was so sweet,
which is fantastic. And I think social media's got such a crucial role to play in sort of there's lots of different ways about recording what you want, so you can keep it digitally. But I think also thinking about what do we do with our digital profile when people, when our loved ones do die, what would we want to do with our digital profile? Because we've got so many things now that are digital, but it's really powerful, and people find that really supportive. We only have to look at what's happened with, recently David Bowie dying, and that whole media, and also that stimulates a lot of people. We've had contact. Actually, I need to plan what's important to me when I'm coming to the end of my life. So people react in different ways, and I think it's great that we've got our website, and there's lots of different resources out there, so people can get advice and think, how can I plan? And then how do I share that with people?
Yeah, it's brilliant. And I must mention on this video too that you're actually in the UK. So what we're talking about here, you haven't mentioned any specific programs, but your website is ncpc.org.uk. And
Yeah.
so your issues are the same everywhere. I mean, it's worldwide.
Yeah. And also, I mean, the other one, the other website that's very helpful is Dying Matters, which is dyingmatters.org.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a separate video because that is a great organization. I didn't actually know what it was. I thought it was a charity just on its own, but it's an association of lots of different hospices and schools, groups.
Yeah, and actually it falls under National Council for Palliative Care. It's part of us. So that is all part of us. Yeah.
Well, I think you're doing such an awesome job, Claire. And thank you so much for taking the time to share it with our community. And we're going to put this video into an article that will have all these resources so that people don't have to rewind the video here and get the details. It'll all be in the article. And I just wish you all the best with the great work you're doing.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Claire.